another $19.9 billion shortfall, which is $6.6 billion for the current year and $13.3 billion for the next budget year.
California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger laying out his budget plan for the next year. The governor asking for $6.9 billion in federal funds and announcing cuts to programs like health and human services, welfare, and transportation in an effort to plug the deficit. And make no mistake, these cuts are big.
I know many of these cuts are painful. Believe me, these are the hard decision, the hardest decision a governor must make. Yet, there's simply no conceivable way to avoid more cuts and more pain. However, when it comes to cuts, let me make one point very clear. Our state, our economy, and our future is so dependent on education that as far as I'm concerned, we must protect education.
So protecting education should protect the future, but what kind of future will these educated children inherit? Joining us now from the Golden State is McLear, press secretary to California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. Aaron, you guys jump right out of the box. I'm all for this $8.5 billion in spending cuts, $4.5 billion in fund shifts. The concern is that $6.9 billion in requested federal funds. Sir, if California gets $7 billion, why shouldn't New York get 7, Florida get 5, and maybe, I don't know, Texas doesn't need it, but I don't know, Iowa? Okay, New Mexico, $3 billion for you guys. What about it, Aaron?
Well, New Mexico doesn't need any money. New Mexico's already getting $2.03 on every dollar they send to D.C. We're getting 78 cents for every dollar we send. So we're talking about our money. This $6.9 billion is money that we're owed, and we intend to fight for that for the people of California.
So then why don't you... Sorry, but why don't you just stop sending the money in then?
I don't think we're allowed to not pay taxes. And this is money that we're sending there. It's for different programs. Let me give you a couple examples. First of all, Medi-Cal, which is a Medicaid program here in California. We have the lowest ratio back of all 50 states that we're getting here in California. Another example is our undocumented prisoners in our prison system. That's a federal responsibility. We're paying almost $1 billion for that. So this is money that we're owed, and we intend to fight for it.
To Eric's point, though, is that this sets precedent for the rest of the country. You're going to have a lot of other states following in your lead because many will come out of the woodwork as broke. So where do you guys stand on all this? You think it's fair that you go to the government because you know that everybody else will right after you?
Well, just keep in mind, this is not asking for one-time money. We were very happy to get the stimulus dollars last year. That was very helpful. But we don't need a one-time check. We need to permanently renegotiate our relationship with D.C. We need to make sure we're getting our fair share on the Medicaid dollars, on other health care dollars and other programs, on money for the undocumented we have in our state. And so this is money that we were sending to D.C., money that we're spending on their programs here in California that they owe us. And so we're going to fight for it.
Hey, Aaron, last time I spoke to you, we did an interview, and it was during that whole California crisis, and the IOU thing was going on. You guys were offering IOUs to creditors of the state. Where does that stand? Are they calling in those IOUs? Can you pay the IOUs?
Yeah, those are all done. The IOUs are done. We had to do IOUs for a short time because we ran out of cash. But we solved our budget crisis last year. You mentioned you like the $8.5 billion in cuts this year. Well, last year we did $30 billion in cuts. We now have a budget that we unveiled today, which is nearly the same size as the first budget the governor unveiled when he came into office 7 years ago. And so it's not a spending problem we have here. It's a revenue problem to a large degree, and it's a problem with the federal government not giving us our fair share.
Speaking of revenues, we have tax season coming up on us again. Will you, you'll collect as much as you can, but will you be able to issue refunds to those that deserve it?
We shouldn't have any problem with that, and I'm glad you mentioned taxes. We are not raising taxes at all in this budget. It's important to note that a lot of people look at California from where you're sitting and say we're just these crazy guys out on the West Coast who are spending too much money. That's not the case at all. We're not raising taxes.
We see that here in New York and New Jersey, too, sir.
You know, Aaron,
yeah, well, we say the same thing about you.
Aaron, I mean, the fact is you guys are spending tens of billions of dollars a year on all kinds of giant corporations and giant homeowners. If I'm rich enough to buy a new home in California last year, you guys wrote me a check for $15,000. If I'm a green energy company, you give me all kinds of tax credits. If I'm a small business internet, more tax credits. What about cutting all corporate tax credits?
Well, you got part of that right, not quite. We are giving tax credits this year to green businesses, to green tech. It's the fastest growing segment of our population. We want to encourage those businesses to grow, to stay here, to create jobs, and we're going to continue to do that. It's not about corporate welfare. It's about creating a better environment for businesses to succeed here in California and create jobs.
Aaron, how about this? I'm going to throw a suggestion out to California. Maybe it makes it a little bit more palatable to the American people. You know, it's been a tough time. The economy's been out on its ear. As it recovers, California should stand to benefit from the recovery. Why don't you take a loan? Instead of asking for a $7 billion payout gift, take a loan and you'll pay it back.
But why would we need a loan? And it's not a gift. This is money that is ours. This is money we're sending to D.C. This is money we're spending here in California for D.C.'s programs that we're owed. It's simple as that. Why are we subsidizing programs in New Mexico or in Pennsylvania or Alaska? It doesn't make any sense at all. We have to get the money that we're owed from D.C., and the governor's going to fight for that.
Aaron, one of the things you guys have to fix, too, is that the upper echelon, that like 1%, pay the majority of your state tax, and that's unfortunate, and you're going to lose those guys, too. Thanks for being with us, Aaron.
Clear. Last word, Aaron.
Sure,
what do you
thanks,
got?
guys. Well, no, I'm not concerned about that. California is still the greatest place in the world. We're not worried about that. We're going to get through our problems here and be just fine.
All right, Aaron McLear, thank you so much.
Thanks, Aaron.